If you look for them, I think you'll find that good book recommendations are actually all around. Hi, welcome, come on in. My name is Aoife, and today I am giving you a book recommendation for every single storyline from Love Actually. I am a Love Actually apologist. I actually think it's one of my favorite Christmas movies. I love settling in to watch it. Late November, early December is kind of my sweet spot for Love Actually. It feels like an early stages of the Christmas season movie. I really enjoy all of the kind of intermingling and intertwining storylines that we have here, the real feel good factor that it gives, and also that it shows quite a lot of different walks of life and different situations that people find themselves in. I really love Love Actually, and there are a couple of books that I think would work well if you've got a favorite love story in Love Actually. First recommendation is for David and Natalie. For this, it is a workplace romance, and I found this one a little bit tricky to go for because technically this is a boss employee romance, and any of those that I found, I wasn't particularly in love with. The one that really stuck out to me was Beautiful Bastard by Christina Lauren, and I don't necessarily think that that's the one I would go for here. It just doesn't have that warm and cozy vibe that you're looking for from Love Actually. Instead, I am going to recommend to you kind of the quintessential workplace romance, and that is The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. This is following Lucy and Josh. They are personal assistants to the CEOs of two separate companies, except that the companies have just merged. And now, Lucy and Josh find themselves fighting out for the one position that has become open, and they are going to every length possible to make sure that this is the job for them. I really love the banter between Lucy and Josh. I feel like it's something along the same lines that you would find from David and Natalie. I really enjoyed the scene of Josh taking care of Lucy when she gets sick. I think that is kind of loosely tied in with Natalie coming in with a tray of tea and biscuits for David while he's working at his desk. I think this is kind of a loose tie in, but it's one that you can kind of make work. My next recommendation is for Jamie and Aurelia's love story. This is a love that transcends borders, and it's a love that takes place between people from different cultures, different backgrounds, with different native languages. For this one, I have gone with The Worst Best Man by Mia Sosa. I think this one fits in perfectly because in Love Actually, Aurelia is Portuguese, and in the book, Lena and her family are Brazilian Portuguese. Lena was left at the altar on her wedding day 3 years ago, but is now working as a wedding planner. She has just gotten a contract with a huge wedding venue in the city, except that there is a catch. She is going to have to actually fight out to be the wedding coordinator for this hotel. And up against her is Max. Max is the brother of Andrew, and Andrew is the person who left Lena at the altar 3 years ago. It transpires that Max might have had something to do with the wedding being called off, and Lena has never forgiven him since. But now that they are in a little bit closer quarters together, and now that they are working together day by day, she's starting to see other sides to him that she wasn't expecting. I associate with this love story a little bit more than I do with a lot of the others, mainly because it's the situation in which I find myself. Myself and my partner are from different countries, different backgrounds, we have different native languages, so there are those little miscommunication steps that you will see between us and between Jamie and Aurelia, but it's still a great love story at the end. Sarah and Carl's love story is a kind of one that got away, times never worked out situation. And for this, nothing fit better than Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. This is following Samantha and Xavier. Xavier is a vet working in a small town in Minnesota, and Samantha brings in a tiny kitten that she had rescued from the side of the road to him. They hit it off while Xavier is working, and they go out on a whirlwind, hours long date that is basically the best first date either of them have ever been on. But there's a problem. This is Samantha's last night in Minnesota before she goes back to California to be with her family. Her mother has been diagnosed with early onset dementia, and things are starting to get a little bit more serious. So her family needs her to move back and to help out with her care as much as possible. Samantha and Xavier try to keep the spark alive with visits, with texts, with notes, with gifts for one another. And it is a really great story as to how you can try and make things work even when everything is working against you. Forbidden feelings for your best friend's partner is portrayed really well by Mark and Juliet in the movie, but also in the book One Day in December by Josie Silver. This follows Laurie, who sees a guy while she is on the bus. He is standing at the bus stop and she is instantly smitten by him. But almost as soon as she catches his eye, the bus drives off and she never sees him again. She spends the entire year looking at tube stops, bus stops, everywhere that she can think of to try and find this guy again. But her search is fruitless until a year later when Jack turns up at a house party that she is at over the Christmas period. And turns out Jack is here because he is Laurie's best friend Sarah's new partner. What transpires is an entire 10-year cycle of feelings and emotions all coming to the front, and I really enjoyed this book. It is a really kind of stretched out storyline, but it never feels like it's dragging in any way. And I just really loved the whole story of Laurie trying to push her life forward while she has such a big stumbling block in her way. It is once again the time of year where Alan Rickman ruins Christmas, and I don't think that he does it in any better fashion than he does while playing Harry in Love Actually. It is no secret to say that Harry and Karen's marriage is in crisis mode. And another book that I really enjoyed with a marriage in crisis mode is After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This follows Lauren and Ryan. They have been married for almost a decade and things are starting to get really stagnant. They come up with a pretty out there idea to try and bring their marriage back on track. They are going to take 1 year completely away from one another. No contact, no texts, not living in the same house, just an entire year where they are not going to see each other. They're going to live their lives basically as if they were single people, and at the end of the year, they are going to come back and get together again. It's a very out there idea, but it kind of works for them. Do I think that Harry and Karen should have done the same thing? Yeah, but do I think that they should have kept broken up after the year anyway? Absolutely. Billy Mack and his manager Joe is a very platonic, found family brotherly love, and you can definitely see this platonic found family feeling in The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. I absolutely love this cozy fantasy witchy book about Mika, who is a witch living in Britain and has been putting videos on YouTube where she is kind of showing her magical prowess. Now, she's pretty sure that nobody out there is going to think that she's actually a witch until the inhabitants of Nowhere House get in touch with her. They have got 3 young witches living with them and nobody of magical power who can teach the little girls how to use their magic properly until they stumble across Mika's channel and decide that she is the perfect person for the job. I absolutely love the coziness of this book. This is a must read in October for me, and I think it's going to be the perfect one for you to read in October too. Colin Frissell is absolutely the comedic effect in this movie. I love his idea that he is going to go to Wisconsin and every single woman there is going to fall at his feet. He just has this idea that as soon as he's in a different country, he is going to be completely irresistible to women. And if you love the idea of traveling abroad and finding love, then I definitely recommend Royal Holiday by Jasmine Guillory. Now, this is the 5th book in a series, but don't worry, you can read these completely out of order. It follows Vivian, who's never been outside of the US before, but her daughter has been employed by the British royal family to dress the royal family for the Christmas season. Vivian decides that she is going to throw caution to the wind, throw some stuff in her suitcase, and join her daughter on the trip to London. While she is there, she meets with Malcolm, who's the Queen's private secretary. Malcolm is enthralled by Vivian pretty much as soon as he meets her, and this wonderful romance between the two of them begins. But they are very much aware the entire time that this romance might come with an expiration date. Or might it? John and Judy meet each other at their workplace. They are the stand-ins for a porn movie that is shooting, and they have this really interesting and quirky meet cute. I felt like the same kind of quirky meet cute is shown in Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. This follows Eve, the youngest of the Brown sisters, who has just been told by her family that she has 6 months to get her life together or she's been kicked out of the family's trust fund. Eve goes out in search of a job and comes across a B&B that is looking for a cook. She goes in, kind of fails the interview and accidentally runs over the inn's owner Jacob with her car. When she breaks his arm, She is kind of reluctantly taken on to be the cook, the maid, the kind of a dog's body in the B&B. But Jacob has seen how her work ethic has come along. He's seen a couple of very interesting things about Eve, and she is definitely bringing a lot of light into his world. I absolutely love the Brown sisters, all three of them, but I think that Eve is the most chaotic. She kind of comes into Jacob's life as a hurricane and throws everything at 180 degrees. Grief following the death of a parent and the death of a loved one is a huge factor in Daniel and Sam's story, and it also appears quite a lot in The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. It's about Florence, who is a romance ghostwriter, but following a horrific breakup, romance isn't exactly a priority for her right now. She has asked her editor for an extension on her deadline, and he is adamant that it has to be in by the time he has set. However, Florence gets a phone call that nobody ever wants to get and has to return to her small town to bury her father. While she is there, her editor turns up at her front door and she is surprised to see him, but no more surprised when she learns that he is actually a ghost. They have to figure out what it is that has happened to Ben and try and get everything sorted out before her deadline arrives. And I really enjoyed this story. I think Ashley Poston has this great knack of writing really interesting magical realism stories, and this was the perfect start to it for me. There is your guide to a book for every single storyline in Love Actually. What is your favourite storyline from Love Actually? And do you think the book that I've recommended is a really good fit for it? If you'd love to leave me a comment but you can't think of anything you'd like to say, then just leave me a red love heart emoji. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I have new videos up every week. Now, get on out of here.